Hello everyone, Whitebox here with another game of Spirit Island, continuing my series going into the Habsburg Mining Expedition, learning all about them. So this time I'm going to be playing against level 2 Habsburg. Let's take a look and see what they have. Level 2 Habsburg is a difficulty 4. Just adds one fear card before you can reach a fear victory during level 4. And the effect that it adds is miners come from far and wide. So the setup here is that I add one explorer in each land with no Dahan. Interesting. So that'll be 4 extra lands with explorers. Add one disease and one city. And the highest numbered land with a town setup symbol. Ooh. So that land number 7 there is pretty crowded already. Okay. And that's it. So that's the setup. Interesting. So it has a bunch of stuff in land 7. Okay. Well, it's highest numbered land with a town setup symbol, so I think sometimes that's 8, sometimes that's 6. In this case, on board E, it's going to be 7. So there are already 3 things in that board, or in that land. If they get 5 more, and have 5 more at the end of the fast phase, then they win. I lose. And in order to combat the Habsburg Mining Expedition, sometimes called Salzburg, I wanted to play one of the new incarna aspects. So I'm going to be playing Lair of the Deep Wilderness, the Lair aspect for Lure of the Deep Wilderness. This one is interesting. It increases the complexity. Setup here is that I put an incarna in an inland land on my starting board, and then remove my 3 presents. So I have 3 less presents, but I get my incarna there instead. And I think I want to put the incarna in E7, but I think I can do it after their initial explorer, because that's when you get to decide when to put presents in, I think. I think that's the right order. But I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. So I'm going to put those guys in E7. This replaces my innate power Forsake Society to Chase After Dreams, as well as my special role, Enthrall the Foreign Explorers. Enthrall the Foreign Explorers is my thing where for each of my presence in a land I can ignore up to 2 explorers during Ravage. Forsake Society to Chase After Dreams is the main way that Lure deals with cities normally. It just converts those cities into explorers and then removes them eventually. So instead, I get a single alluring lair. Invaders, Dahan, beasts, and presence of any spirit at my sacred site, or at my lair, excuse me, cannot move. I can reposition my lair by adding it with my second growth option instead of adding presence. 6 explorers and 3 Dahan at my lair don't participate in Ravage. They don't deal damage or take damage. And then I have Society Dissolves at the Beckoning Heart. Target land my lair. For every 3 explorers or Dahan, downgrade a different town or city. That's cool. If I have the next threshold, I can gather 1 explorer or town and 1 Dahan. And once for every 6 explorers or Dahan present at my lair, I can gather any invader within range, depending on how much air I have, 1 land towards my lair. So I can gather cities, which is cool. Which is important because that coastal city otherwise very difficult to actually target. So really from where I am here, if I have 2 air and 4 moon, I'll be able to draw this invader, or draw that city in. But it's going to be difficult. I think this is going to be a tricky matchup because I can't just stack up infinitely in my lair. I do have to deal with stuff. Because otherwise I'm going to lose to Landstrip Bear, which is at the end of the fast phase. The invaders win if any land has at least 8 total invaders or white. So kind of a tricky setup here. I have to make sure that I'm dealing with the invaders that I'm gathering here and not letting them stack up to too many. So let me flip my initial explorer. It's Wetlands, which I think is good. I think that's one that I can deal with. Alright, and then I'm off to the races. So with lure, I often feel like I'm a little constrained with either elements or energy, one or the other. That's kind of the puzzle with this spirit. I think their starting hand is extremely strong, so that's good. So if you can get up to 4 card plays and just reclaim loop your starting hand, it's very good. I don't know if that's the play to play with this lair aspect though. I think Moon becomes a little bit more important here because I need to make sure that I can draw stuff from farther away. So I want to make sure that I can get to Moon, so Top Track's probably pretty good to grab that extra Moon element, and that'll make it easier to start gathering stuff into my lair. So I definitely want to do Growth 2 to start. I think I want to do a Softly Beckon Ever Inward play. It's always a good thing to do on turn 1. That'll gather a lot of stuff into E7, potentially a little dangerous to do, but I think I'll be able to destroy some stuff there. Yeah, and I need Never Heard From Again so I can destroy some things as well. Okay, interesting. Alright. So I think I can get away with gaining a power card, Softly Beckoning Ever Inward, and going Top Track to get to the 2 energy, so I can pay for that. Let's see, I can add this presence at 4 range. Let's just go here. My lair counts as a sacred site, so I don't have to worry about that. I gain 2 energy from presence, and I'm just going to play Softly Beckon Ever Inward. It's a nice first turn play most of the time. And hopefully jungle doesn't come up too early, because I'm going to need to be able to destroy some stuff there. But I'm saving all my plant cards, so I'll be able to play them next turn and get those explorers killed. Alright, so I think that's fine. Let's go ahead and go into the fast phase. I have no fast powers. I guess I do have Society Dissolves at the Beckoning Heart. It only costs 1 moon, which is cool. So for every 3 explorers or Dahan, downgrade a different town or city. I've only got 1 explorer there, unfortunately, so that's fine. Alright, so flip an event for timing, and then go to the invader phase. They're going to build in wetlands. And this becomes a mining land. And then explore in sands. That's okay. Alright, cool. Cool. That's their turn. I'm going to go to slow powers. I have Softly Beckon Ever Inward, so I'm going to go ahead and gather 2 explorers. Let's do this one. I can just stop that build, I think is good. I'll gather this Dahan. Let me just do the explorers first, so I remember. So 1 explorer. Let's go 2 explorers, so that doesn't remain a mining land. 2 towns, so let's go both those towns. That leaves me at 7 things in here, which is a little dangerous. If there's 1 more, then I would lose at the end of the fast phase, but I'm going to be able to destroy some of that stuff next turn, so I'm okay with that. So that was towns and explorers. Next is beasts. I might leave this beast here. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave that beast there because if I get an event that does damage based on beasts, it might clear it out, and I don't need more beasts there just yet. I think just the 2 is fine. Although I do have Swallowed by the Wilderness, so that's pretty good. I'll probably save that card though. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to leave the beast there and then gather 2 Dahan. Let's gather those guys. Alright, so my lair is getting pretty crowded. I am 1 away from the additional loss condition of Salzburg, but I should be able to clean a lot of that stuff up next turn. So that was my slow power, Softly Beckon Ever Inward. I can't do Never Heard From Again, so that's the end of my turn. I'm going to discard this card and go back to growth. I am going to add a presence. Go from bottom this time. Get a Sacred Site there. I will go for, I think, I want to be able to add a Badlands there, so let's go for Elements and Energy. Did I gain a power card last turn? I certainly didn't get energy. I meant to gain a power card. I think I've actually forgot to take it, though. Not sure why. So I'm going to grab that power card now. This was from Growth 4 last turn. It's not one that I would have played. Yeah. Lure of the Unknown, fantastic elements. Here There Be Monsters, also great. So I'm definitely getting one of those. Lure of the Unknown, unfortunately, gathering into a land without invaders isn't helpful because I want to gather into a land with invaders. So I'm going to go Here There Be Monsters. Alright, so yeah, that I don't know why I forgot that last turn, but I did. I'm going to get 2 energy for presence. I will gain, where am I? Elements. I'm going to gain a plant from this turn. I think do Perils of the Deepest Island, as well as Gift of the Untamed Wild. That'll let me add 2 Badlands into E7. I won't get to gather with Lair, but I think that's okay, maybe. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, yeah, I'm good with that. Alright, so gained my energy, add a presence there. I still can't believe I forgot to gain a power card last turn. Alright, so that is, those are my powers. Let's go into fast powers. I have Lair, so I have Society Dissolves at the Beckoning Heart. For every 3 Explorers or Dahan, which I have 5 there, I can downgrade a different town or city. So let's go ahead and downgrade one of the towns so I can clean up stuff a little bit easier there next turn. Because if they explore in there, I need to be able to destroy some stuff just to make sure that they don't. Although, I don't know. It'll be easier to kill the towns. Yeah, let's stick with that. I'll downgrade the city. I think that's fine. So still 7 things there. And I'll clean some of that up in the slow phase this turn. So it doesn't matter if they add a piece in the fast phase, or in the invader phase, because the loss condition only happens at the end of the fast phase. Alright. I don't have a 3rd moon, so I can't gather stuff just yet. Next turn, I'll be able to start doing that. Potentially. Alright, so that's that. I'm going to go into the invader phase. Let's go to an event. Got Gradual Corruption. On each board, add 1 blight to a land with towns and cities. Spirits can prevent this on any now boards by paying X energy per board to protect, where X is the number of cards in the invader discard card, which is currently 0, so I'm going to prevent that by paying 0. Fatalities rise in each land with disease. 1 damage to each invader and 1 damage to each Dahan. My poor Dahan. 1 damage to each invader, though. That's cool. So 3 of those explorers will die. And remove 1 disease from each land where this destroys any towns and cities, which it does not, so I don't have to worry about that. Blessings of Bounty and Health. Each spirit may add 1 Dahan to one of its lands with Dahan. Yeah, that sounds great. I love having more Dahan in my lair. Okay, cool. No fear cards, no fear at all just yet. But now I go into the invader phase. So they're going to Ravage in wetlands, 1 damage to this Dahan. Dahan will fight back, kill that explorer, 1 damage here, doesn't hurt anything. And then they will build in sands. Alright, explore jungle. That is perfectly fine. Alright, now we go to slow power. So I have a couple here. First up, let's do Perils of the Deepest Island. So that's going to be 1 fear. Where do I want to do that? Let's see, it's 0 range, so I do have to do it in that land. That's okay. Okay, cool. I have an interesting play here. I'm actually going to push one of these to haunt. I'm going to target this land here. So it's 1 Badlands. Goes into E7. I'm going to add the beast. In E6. And I'm going to push one of these to haunt from E7 over to E6. Might be moving my lair next turn, so we'll see how that works. Then I've got Gift of the Untamed Wild. Target spirit chooses to either add 1 wilds to one of their lands or replace one of their presents with a disease. I'm going to add a wilds into E7. Alright, that's a build, which is actually a ravage, but there is a disease there to stop it, so. Alright, cool. Alright, and then I've got Never Heard From Again. So with Never Heard From Again, I'm going to add a Badlands into E7. And then, because I have, let's see, and then I can destroy up to 2 explorers per thing, all my tokens. There's only 1 explorer left, so I will destroy that one. So unfortunately, I'm not hitting the damage threshold just yet. I'm one off, 1 plant off. See, this is why I always get stuck on lore. So maybe I'll go top track this game. We'll see. Alright, so yeah, I can't do the damage, that's fine, I think. I do get 1 fear because it destroyed an invader, or an explorer. And that's that. So I'm going to discard cards, and go back to growth. So I have a couple interesting options here. Let's see, I'm going to have 5 energy, so it is possible that I go for a major. All these guys heal. So my plan was to kind of jump over with my lair into E6, destroy everything there, and then go back to E7 next turn, maybe to deal with it, but it does kind of slow me down from growing a bit. So Let's see, if I unlock the moon and gain a moon, I can gather that town in. Yeah, I think I'm gonna change it up, do it a little bit differently than I thought I was. So instead of moving my lair, which would be okay, but maybe slow my growth a little bit too much, I'm gonna add one into E6. Gain 2 energy. Next turn is going to be a reclaim turn, which will not be ideal, but you have those dead terms sometimes with lore, and that's okay. Alright, and then I play my 2 cards. So I've got Swallowed by the Wilderness and Here There Be Monsters. With my element, this turn I'm going to gain a moon. Okay, and now I get a fast power. So fast powers here, I have Swallowed by the Wilderness and Lair. So Swallowed by the Wilderness, I'm going to do 2 Fear in this land, which gets me a Fear card. Kristen's Home. Is that what I want to do? Alright, I'm going to take a little break, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. So I'm going to retcon things slightly here. There hasn't been any new information, so that's okay. So last turn I'd pushed out this Dahan with Perils of the Deepest Island. I'm going to cancel that, because I'm going to change things up just slightly here. It's because I'm not moving my lair this turn, so I actually wanted to leave those 3 Dahan in here. So, now that I have this turn set up, I'm going to use Swallowed by the Wilderness here in E6. I'm going to destroy, I think, now I could destroy 2 of the explorers, or I could destroy the town. Either way, I'm going to gather that town in. So it depends on how much damage I can do next turn. Do I think that I can kill 5 towns in the fast phase? That's a little tricky. I don't think that I'll be able to, even with a couple bad lands there. So instead I'm going to do the 2 damage here to the town. Gets me 1 fear. Then I'm going to use Lair. So with Lair, for every 3 Dahan or Explorers, there are 3 Dahan here, I can downgrade a town or city. So with my single Alluring Lair. And Society dissolves at the Beckoning Heart. And then I'm going to, with my 3 Moon and 1 Air, gather one of these Explorers. And one of these Dahan. This land is quite crowded. It's the thing with lure, or lair, of the Deep Wilderness. Okay, that's that. So those are my fast powers. Now I go to an event. Tight-knit communities for the rest of this turn. Towns and cities have +1 health. That's okay. I'm doing my damage next turn, so I'm not worried about it. Then, Parry on the Unwary. Each beast destroys 1 explorer. Awesome. I destroy 2 explorers there. And add 1 beast to a board with that one. And Coming of Age. On each board, add 1 town to a coast, or add 1 Dahan to a coastal land with Dahan. So quite good for me. Fear card. Explore does not affect coastal lands. Possible coastal land comes up next turn, so that's good. Lands with disease are not a source of invaders when exploring. And that's really good, because this still has disease. Although it's going away, so that's fine. Okay, so Ravage in Sands. Sands are both empty. Build in Jungles. I will build a town here. And then, so that is a mining land. There are more than 2 invaders, 3 or more invaders there. So instead of building, they're ravaging. But I have this disease, so that will stop that mining ravage. And then we come back to jungle. That's actually okay. Maybe not for E3, but it's okay for the others. Okay. And escalation here, I explore in 2 lanes that are not showing up there, which could be any lanes really, so let's just go into these 2. Alright, now I gotta start trying to clean up the interior. Maybe if I can gather some of these in there, that would be fantastic, but I don't know if I will. Okay, cool. Let's do Here There Be Monsters. So that's 3 fear. I don't have to plant. Okay, so how much damage? I have to count my damage that I'm doing here. I guess they would have taken the wilds instead of exploring there, so I actually lose out a little bit. So next turn, I'm going to be able to hit that land for 5 damage. That'll kill 2 towns and an explorer. I can downgrade another town, and explorers don't really do much. So yeah, I can push some explorers into my lair, and that'll be just fine. So let's go ahead and do Here There Be Monsters on land E6. I can push that explorer, generate 2 fear, and then that land had a beast, so I do an additional fear, and that gets me a fear card. Okay. I don't have Never Heard From again, so I discard cards and go back to Growth. Alright, so this turn, I'm gonna try to clean up E6, 7. I shouldn't have an issue with that. I do need to reclaim, so I'm gonna do that. Gain 1 energy for it. I do need to play Swallowed by the Wilderness, so I'll just set that down right now before I decide which of my growth 3 or 4 that I want to do. So I'd like to be able to do something about E3. That is an issue, because it's going to potentially do a lot of damage back. But I can't really do much about it with the powers that I have. So I would like to get a new card and see if that card will deal with E3. And I've got a lot of energy right now, so I'm actually just going to gain a major. So I got Paraphrite, that's good. I got Jungle Hungers, also pretty excellent, although difficult to reach the coast with that. So Paralyzing Fright, obviously fantastic. Invaders skip all actions and target land this turn. It's 4 fear. I don't have much earth, so I can't threshold that just yet, but I think that's fine. Yeah, it's the easy choice. One of the best majors in the game. I'll just forget Here There Be Monsters as much as I like it, as much as it hits my thresholds. I'm gonna forget that. So I get 2 energy for my presence track. And I'm just going to play Paralyzing Fright, because it's going to stop 2 actions in that coastal jungle, which will be great. And do 4 fear. Okay, so that's that. Now we go to the fast phase. So first up, I'm going to do Swallowed by the Wilderness, I think. Now let's do Lair first. So I have 6, so I can downgrade 2 of these towns. I do lose some fear for that. Just 1, so that's fine, I think. Alright, yeah, that's okay. I can't gather, I don't have enough moons. I only have 1, actually. So yeah, just the 1 for downgrading. Okay. Then I'll do Swallowed by the Wilderness there. It's 2 fear. And 1 damage per token, plus the 2 badlands, so that is 5 damage. So I can kill the town, and 3 explorers. No, that's just 1 fear. Alright, then I have Paralyzing Fright, so I will target land E3 with that. So it's 4 fear, which just gets me a fear card. And invaders skip all actions and target land this turn, which is good, because they're both ravaging and ravaging a second time. So that's going to be great. Alright, event coming up next. Got Seeking the Interior. Nope, I've got local diaspora. So in the single lane with the most invaders, push one explorer or town to each adjacent land. That's actually okay. I don't mind that. So let's get the town closer to the interior, because I can deal with that okay. And it actually empties that land out. Wow, okay. That worked out really nicely. Beast Prowl, and each beast generates 1 fear if invaders are present, so I just get the 1. And moves to an adjacent land if not. Very good. Let's go into those wetlands. Not as worried about the jungle. And then forsake the barren land. On each board, push 2 Dahan from a land with blight to a land without blight. No, I forgot to add my starting blight on this board. It would have been here. It wouldn't have affected anything because they haven't successfully ravaged. So push 2 Dahan from a land with blight. There's no Dahan in lands with blight, so that's okay. 3 Terra level 2 fear cards. Pretty good. Paralyzing Freight tends to make games a lot easier than when you don't get that. Tread carefully. Each player may choose a land with Dahan or adjacent to at least 3 Dahan. Invaders do not ravage there this turn. I mean, there's no ravage this turn anyway, so that's fine. Too many explorers. Each player removes 1 explorer and 1 town from a land with beasts, or 1 explorer from a land adjacent to beasts. So let's remove that explorer. And spreading timidity. Each player chooses a different land to isolate. Also defend 2 in those lands. So let's go ahead and isolate. Let's see, coasts could come up. So let's do E1. No, I'm going to do E3, or E2. No, I'll still do E1. I think that's alright. Okay, so that's that. Now I go to the Ravage. So, Ravage here is going to be in jungles, so nothing here, because they're not participating. Build in jungles. They will build a town here. That is fine. And then explore wetlands. Don't mind that too much. And then explore either mountains or sands. Let's go there. Keep them adjacent to my lair. Okay. So going pretty well so far. Let's go to slow powers. I don't think I have any. No, I don't have the elements for Never Heard From Again. So that's it. Going to discard cards and go back to growth. And I actually probably could have saved Swallowed by the Wilderness last turn. I did a lot. But that's alright. So I'm going to be able to gather some stuff in. And that's okay. Alright, so growth options here. I'm going to add a presence for sure. I think I want to keep going top track. That's kind of what I'm committed to at this point. Unlocking that plant's going to be quite strong as well, so that's okay. Let's go into E4. I think I'm going to gain a power card. It's going to help me push off my reclaim. Well, let's see. I might need an element, though. I do get the plant. The plant's good. But I want to start pulling that city towards the inland, so I have a win condition. So yeah, I'm going to go for the elements instead. I'm going to gain a moon. 2 energy. I should get 2 air. I'm going to need 2 air. Which means that I'm going to have to play Softly Beckon Enver Inward and Gift of the Untamed Wild. I don't have a choice. So it has to be those 2 cards, which I think is fine. Means I won't get a Badlands this turn, but I shouldn't need it, so that's okay. Alright, I get 3 energy. Just get 3. And go to fast powers. So first up, I have Society Dissolves at the Beckoning Heart. So I have 5 there, so I can downgrade 1 town to an explorer. Which is great. Then I don't want to gather towns in there just yet, just because I don't want them to ravage. So instead, I'm gathering an explorer and a Dahan. Let's do this one. That Dahan. And then I have the highest level now. I have 4 moon and 2 air. So once for every 6 explorers or Dahan, I have 8, so I can do this once. Gather any invader within 2, 1 land towards my lair. So any invader, I'm going to gather this city. They're packing up to go and starting to head toward my lair. And this board's looking pretty well controlled. I think I'm going to be able to hit this win here in a turn or 2. But we'll see what they do, what the invaders pull. So that was the only fast power I have, was Society Dissolves at the Beckoning Heart. I'm going to go to an event. I've got stage 2, so urbanization in each land with at least 2 towns, which is none. I don't have to do this. Let's see, stricken invaders do not ravage in lands with disease or strife. That's fine. And then retreat. On each board, push 2 explorers from a land with cities, or 2 Dahan from a land with cities to a land without cities. So nothing happened with that event. No fear card this turn. So let's go to the Ravage. They're going to Ravage jungle, but Dahan and explorers are not participating there, so that's fine. Build in wetlands. Explore sands. That's no longer isolated. And then also they use their mining tunnels to go into, let's see, definitely a jungle. And I'll just stick with that mountain, stack it up a little bit. Alright, cool. So that's that. That's the invader phase. Now I go to slow powers. So I'm going to use Softly Beckon Ever Inward. Now I can get some towns in here. So let's get a town. Let's get an explorer. May as well just stop both ravages and a build. Softly Beckon Ever Inward, very strong card. Now there are 8 explorers in that land, but it doesn't check until the end of the fast phase, so I'm good. As long as I don't let them get to the end of the fast phase next turn with all those explorers there, all those invaders, then I don't have to worry about losing. I can also gather 2 beasts. I will gather 1, I think. Yeah. I'm going to add a wilds into this land. And I could gather 2 Dahan, but I don't have 2 Dahan to gather. So that's that. Alright, so getting close to the end here. There's a couple buildings left. I don't have Never Heard From Again. Actually, I do have the 2nd level at least. So I can destroy up to 2 explorers per Badlands, Beast, Disease, or Wilds. I have 4 of those things, so I can destroy all of those explorers if I want to. It's up to. I probably want to destroy 5 of them so I can get the 2nd Fear. So I will do that. And that leaves 6 things there, which is good for Society Dissolves at the Beckoning Heart next turn. Alright, so I'm killing 5 explorers. Generates 2 fear. And that's that. Discard cards and go back to growth. I thought this would be a tricky matchup, but it's actually not too bad. The fact that I can clear out all those explorers very easily does help quite a bit. Alright, so I've still got my lair up. I don't have to worry about ravages or builds this turn, really. So the big thing is just kind of repeating that. The ability to get that city into my lair is going to be pretty important. So let's see, if I can get everything into my lair, I can kill it pretty easily, I think. So I'm going to reclaim this turn. 1 energy. And do growth 3 for a moon again. Gets me 2 more energy, plus 3. So much energy. And I want to do, Swallowed by the Wilderness does not have an heir, but that's okay. I can wait until next turn to deal with it. So get that city into the jungle is the main thing. And then I can do Swallowed by the Wilderness next turn in the fast phase to destroy it. So I need to do my 2 air and moon cards again. Actually, I don't need 2. I only need 1. So I could hold off on Softly Beckon Ever Inward, but I'm going to do it because it lets me clear out this land. And I'll probably just do Perils of the Deepest Island, I guess. Yeah, should be fine. Okay, let's do it. So I go into my lair. Society dissolves at the beckoning heart. I'm going to, for every 3 explorers into Han, I have 6 combined. I can downgrade a different town or city, so I'll downgrade both those towns. Then gather 1 explorer or town. Gather this town. And then once for every 6 explorers or Dahan present, I can gather any invader within 1, which will be this city. Alright, and barring a weird event, I should win this game in the fast phase next turn, but I'll play it out. So that's the only fast power that I have. Now I'm going to go to that event. Sacred sites under threat. Invaders have begun to find hidden places of natural power. I can let the island strength repulse them. Each sacred site pushes explorers or towns to an adjacent land. Remove 1 blight per player from the blight card, returning it to the box, or guard them myself, which, let's see, hated by fire. In each land with sacred sites and invaders, either do 2 damage or destroy 1 presence from each spirit. I have to pay for it, though. So the cost is 3 energy per land where I do damage. Let's do that. I'm gonna pay for it. I have a lot of energy, so I'm just gonna pay 6 energy. I'm gonna count my lair as a sacred site and do 4 damage there because I have Badlands. So I'll kill the city. And I'll do a damage to the town just in case something else comes up that does damage to it. That gets me another fear card. And then do the same thing here. So 2 damage there as well. Beast Prowl. Each beast generates 1 fear if invaders are present and moves to an adjacent land if not. That's 3 fear. And then Spirit Speakers solve riddles of power. Each spirit with at least 4 Dahan among its lands gains a minor power. So I will do that. Let's see. Got some good ones. Scream Disease into the Wind. Sky's Herald, the Seasons Return. Dire Metamorphosis. Ooh, that's a fun one. Well, let's get Dire Metamorphosis just in case. Alright. Fear card, Dire level 2. Each player removes 1 explorer or town from a land with sacred site, or with a presence. My lair can count as presence, so I will remove that town, and I don't have to wait until next turn. There are no buildings on the map, which means that I win. So that was pretty good. I actually really like this aspect. Lair is pretty cool. I thought that playing around Lair with Landstrip Bear would be a little bit more difficult. It actually wasn't too bad. Maybe once you get into higher levels of Salzburg, it does become more difficult. This was only difficulty 4, but it's still nice to see that additional setup here and how that actually works. So yeah, very, very cool. Didn't hit any mining ravages this turn, so mining lands weren't really a problem. Yeah. No cards cause ravage actions. Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't really have a problem with ceaseless mining. It wasn't too big an issue. They never bladed, so adverse rewarded didn't come into effect. Mining tunnels wasn't a big issue because I was able to keep gathering stuff into E7. So yeah, this actually, Lair of the Deep Wilderness handled this adversary quite well. I'm impressed. So yeah, cool one. So I'm not sure which spirit and new aspect I'm going to play next, but this was my favorite so far of the 3 that I've tried. I do like the way that Salzburg works, so we'll see how they work once I get into levels 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And if it continues to be smooth. This was the smoothest one so far, and it was ostensibly harder than the previous 2 games. I think this is just a better spirit and better aspect than the previous ones were, so I'll stick with ones that are a little bit more my style. But let me know what you think of Lair in the comments below, especially. I'm curious to see what other people think of it. And let me know what you think of Salzburg as well. As we move up and up on levels, we're going into level 3 next. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see everybody next time.